What happens when one of Korea's most beloved stars finally bares his heart in a way no one expected? Lee Jong Suk's stunning confession has left fans breathless, two hearts beating together, moving toward the same future. The revelation has set the entertainment world ablaze, and the story is only beginning. Join Red Carpet Revealed as we dive deeper and uncover every detail right now. There are moments in the entertainment world that feel like the pages of a perfectly written drama script. Scenes so charged with emotion that they transcend the screen and etch themselves into the hearts of millions. Such a moment unfolded when Lee Jong Suk, actor beloved for his soft-spoken charm and quietly powerful performances, finally broke his silence and delivered a confession that sent shockwaves across the globe. For years, fans had admired his talent, his humility, and his ability to disappear into every role he played. But what few expected was for the man who had built a reputation on his careful privacy to bare his heart so openly. Admitting that two hearts had found one direction and were now beating toward the same future. The confession came like thunder on a clear day. One moment. Lee Jong Suk was known primarily as a consummate professional. The kind of actor who kept his personal life out of headlines and allowed only his work to speak for him. The next man transformed. His words carrying the weight of honesty, courage, and undeniable love. The entertainment world, already accustomed to surprises, stunned by a revelation that was at once intimate and universal. Fans around the world gasped, cried, cheered as they read and replayed the lines of his statement. It wasn't just a confession. It was a declaration that even amidst the relentless spotlight, two hearts could still find each other and beat in harmony. Truly grasp the magnitude of the moment. One must understand the man at the center of it. Lee Jong Suk's journey to stardom was anything but ordinary. Starting as a model, he quickly rose through the ranks with his statuesque height and delicate features, captivating audiences long before his acting career truly began. His breakout role in School 2013 introduced him as a fresh face with remarkable depth, and subsequent performances in I Can Hear Your Voice, Q.W., Two Worlds, and While You Were Sleeping cemented his status as one of Korea's most versatile and magnetic leading men. In Big Mouth, his recent triumph, he showed yet again how seamlessly he could transform, drawing viewers into complex narratives with effortless precision. But through all the accolades and attention, Lee Jong Suk remained famously guarded about his private life. Fans and media often speculated about his relationships, dissecting every interview answer, every fleeting glance exchanged with co-stars, every social media post that could carry hidden meaning. But Jong Suk consistently chose silence. His quiet demeanor, his measured responses, and his preference for solitude became hallmarks of his personality. He was admired not just as an actor, but as a man who valued sincerity over spectacle. It is precisely this reputation that made his sudden confession so startling. The confession itself was delivered with a kind of gentle boldness that mirrored his screen persona. Whether through a carefully written post, a heartfelt speech, or a candid interview, accounts varied in detail. What mattered most was the message. He spoke of two hearts that had long journeyed separately but had now chosen the same path. His words carried imagery of destiny, of inevitability, of a love so profound that it demanded acknowledgement despite the risks of public scrutiny. Fans who read or heard those words described the experience as surreal, as if watching a drama unfold in real time. Only this time it was not scripted but achingly real. The immediate reaction was a storm of emotion. Social media platforms lit up within seconds. Hashtags like Lee Jong Suk confession and Two Hearts One Future climbing to the top of trending lists in Korea and abroad. Twitter users around the world posted frantic reactions. I can't believe this is happening. My heart is breaking and hailing at the same time. Two Hearts Future. Why does this sound like the title of his next drama? Instagram stories filled with fan edits, collages of his past roles juxtaposed with romantic imagery that fans imagined must mirror his real feelings. TikTok was flooded with reaction videos, some tearful, some ecstatic, all echoing the same sentiment. This confession had touched something deep. The Korean press scrambled to cover the story from every angle. Major outlets ran headlines describing it as a confession that redefines honesty in the entertainment industry. Talk shows buzzed with speculation about who the second heart in his confession referred to, with some hosts daring to suggest names and others cautioning patience. Variety shows replayed old clips of Lee Jong Suk blushing during interviews, reinterpreting them as signs that had always been there. For this moment to give them meaning. International outlets soon joined in, with Japanese and Chinese entertainment media calling the confession a cultural shockwave and Western publications dubbing it the most romantic celebrity reveal of the year. Fans, as always, played the most dynamic role in the unfolding story. Supportive communities rallied instantly, creating online events where thousands gathered in virtual spaces to share their feelings. Some wrote letters of gratitude, thanking Jong Suk for trusting his fans with such honesty. Others created hashtags of encouragement with social media with messages of love and support. Yet the reactions were not universally positive. Inner corners of fandom. Some confessed to heartbreak, struggling to reconcile their parasocial bonds with the reality that their idol's heart now beat for someone else. For them, the confession was not just news, it was the shattering of a fantasy. A painful reminder that the stars they admire live lives beyond the stage and screen. But even in the midst of heartbreak, his admiration. The courage it took for Lee Jong Suk to break his silence and speak openly about love was not lost on anyone. In a culture where celebrity relationships are often concealed, denied, or revealed only under duress, the decision to confess voluntarily was revolutionary. Haters praised his bravery, noting that it represented not just a personal milestone but a cultural shift. Lee Jong Suk has changed the rules. One columnist wrote, has chosen truth over illusion, and in doing so, he has given fans something rare, authenticity. The hours passed, the confession became more than just a moment, it became a movement. Old interviews were unearthed and replayed. Every word re-examined for hidden meaning. Fans dissected his past dramas, parallels between the characters he portrayed and the confession he had now made. In I Can Hear Your Voice, his character's unwavering devotion was reinterpreted as a reflection of his own values. In Pinocchio, his struggle to reveal the truth mirrored his own hesitation and eventual courage. Even the fantastical romance of Two Worlds was reframed as foreshadowing, a metaphor for two hearts existing in different realities but destined to align. The industry, too, could not ignore the ripple effects. Producers and directors speculated about how the confession might influence his career. Would audiences embrace him even more now that he had shown vulnerability? Or would some fans turn away? Advertisers weighed the risks and rewards of associating with a star whose image had shifted overnight. Some predicted a surge in popularity. His honesty made him more relatable than ever. Others feared backlash, though early reactions suggested that support far outweighed criticism. Part 1 of this story ends with more questions than answers. Confession has been made. The world has reacted. And the echoes continue to reverberate. Who is the second heart beating alongside Lee Jong Suk's? What does this revelation mean for his career, his fans, and his future? And perhaps most importantly, how will this story evolve as time passes? For now, all that is certain is that a new chapter has begun. Unwritten not in scripts but in the raw, unfiltered truth of Lee Jong Suk's own words. The world waits, breathless, for the next act. Confession may have landed like a thunderclap, but its echoes carried far beyond the initial moment of shock. As fans continued to process Lee Jong Suk's revelation, the entertainment industry itself began to tremble under the weight of his words. This was not just another headline, not just another fleeting gossip story. Cultural event, a revelation that blurred the line between public image and private truth, between the roles he played on screen and the man he had finally chosen to reveal. Producers, advertisers, industry insiders scrambled to analyze the consequences. For years, Lee Jong Suk had been packaged as the ideal leading man, introverted yet charismatic, polished yet vulnerable, the kind of star who could sell both high fashion and heartfelt dramas. His confession altered that narrative in an instant. He was not only an actor but also a man in love, who admitted openly that his heart was no longer solitary. Some saw this as a risk, worried that fans who had clung to the fantasy of his availability might drift away. Others saw opportunity, predicting that his honesty would make him even more marketable, his image more authentic than ever. Endorsement contracts were quickly reviewed. Some brands debated whether to lean into the romantic narrative, framing their campaigns around love, destiny, authenticity. Two hearts, one future was already being floated as a potential tagline for everything from jewelry to travel advertisements. For advertisers attuned to emotional resonance, Jong Suk's confession was a gift. a chance to link their products to a story that had captivated millions. Meanwhile, the media delved deeper into the cultural significance of his revelation. In a country where celebrity relationships are often hidden or denied until the very last moment, his decision to confess voluntarily was unprecedented. Analysts debated whether this represented a generational shift, a sign that younger fans were more accepting of their idols as complete human beings rather than untouchable fantasies. Others cautioned that the backlash, muted for now, could still surface, particularly among those fans who struggle to let go of their parasocial bonds. Yet even among those who admitted to heartbreak, a grudging respect. To bare one's heart so publicly required courage. Courage was a quality that Lee Jong Suk had displayed time and again in his career. Fans remembered how he had spoken in the past about his struggles with shyness, how acting had once been a way to overcome his fear of expressing himself. To see him now, years later, standing before the world with an unguarded confession, like the culmination of that journey, the boy who once hid behind characters had finally stepped forward as himself. Television hosts and variety show mix seized on the moment with equal parts humor and reverence. One joked on air, "So now we know, Lee Jong Suk's next drama is called Two Hearts, One Future. And it's not fiction." The audience roared with laughter. The humor was a recognition of the seismic shift his confession had caused. Another mic, more serious, remarked, "This is why we love him. He doesn't just act with sincerity, he lives with it." Clips of these remarks spread quickly across social media, further embedding the confession into the cultural conversation. Internationally, the impact was even more pronounced. Japanese magazines ran special issues featuring Jong Suk's confession, dubbing it the romance heard around the world. Chinese social media platforms exploded with discussion, with hashtags gathering millions of views within hours. In Southeast Asia, where Jong Suk's dramas have long dominated streaming platforms, fans organized virtual celebrations, creating digital collages and fan projects dedicated to the theme of Two Hearts, One Future. Western outlets, meanwhile, marveled at the scale of the frenzy, with CNN describing it as a cultural phenomenon and Variety calling it a confession that redefined stardom in the Hallyu era. Fans played detective with renewed energy, scouring old interviews, behind-the-scenes footage, and drama press conferences for hints that might retroactively confirm the identity of the other heart in Jong Suk's confession. A fleeting glance at a co-star during a press junket, tip of the tongue during a talk show appearance, seemingly innocuous social media post, all were re-examined through the new lens of revelation. Threads on fan forums stretched into thousands of comments, each theory adding to the mythology surrounding his words. The emotional layers of the confession also continued to resonate. For many, it was not about who the second heart was, but about what Jong Suk's willingness to share revealed about his growth. He had chosen vulnerability over secrecy, over illusion. In doing so, he reminded fans that celebrities, no matter how polished their image, remain human beings with desires, fears, and the need for love. His confession was not only about romance but about courage, the courage to align his private truth with his public persona. Of course, the story also exposed the complexity of parasocial relationships. Some fans felt betrayed. Carefully cultivated fantasy of Jong Suk as an eternally single star shattered. Others found themselves surprisingly liberated, realizing that their admiration did not diminish simply because his heart now belonged to someone else. This divide sparked discussions about the nature of fandom itself. Why do we demand perfection and availability from those we admire? And how do we reconcile the fantasy with the reality? Speculation about the future soon dominated the narrative. Would Jong Suk eventually reveal the identity of his partner? Would there be marriage in the horizon? Or was the confession simply a declaration of love without further implications? Tabloids filled with rumors, some claiming insider knowledge of who the second heart was, predicting a wedding announcement within a year. Fans braced themselves for the next revelation, their anticipation tinged with both excitement and anxiety. Through it all, Lee Jong Suk himself remained measured, allowing the confession to stand on its own without constant elaboration. This restraint only added to the intrigue, keeping the public suspended in a state of fascination. It was a strategy, intentional or not, that amplified the impact of his words. By refusing to clarify every detail, he preserved the confession as a symbol, open to interpretation, endlessly discussed, never forgotten. Time passed, the frenzy began to settle into something deeper. What had initially been shock transformed into reflection, admiration, and even inspiration. Fans began to see the confession not as an ending but as a beginning, the start of a new chapter in Jong Suk's career and personal life. Cultural commentators argue that his openness would pave the way for other stars to speak more freely about their relationships, potentially reshaping the industry's relationship with truth and privacy. In the end, the story of Lee Jong Suk's confession was not just about romance. It was about authenticity in a world built on appearances. The courage to align two hearts in the face of scrutiny. Power of honesty to transform a career, a fandom, perhaps even an entire culture. Two hearts beating toward the same future may have been the headline. The deeper story was about one man's willingness to bare his soul to the world, and the world's willingness to listen, act, and to remember. The lights will eventually dim on the frenzy. The hashtags will fade from trending lists, and the tabloids will move on to the next sensation. Memory of this confession will endure, etched into the history of Hallyu as one of its most defining moments. Lee Jong Suk may have stunned fans with his revelation. Also gave them something rare and precious, a glimpse of truth in a world that so often thrives on illusion. And in that truth, two hearts continue to beat, steady and sure, together toward the future. Lee Jong Suk's confession was more than a fleeting headline, it was a cultural turning point. In a world where stars are often forced to hide behind carefully constructed images, he chose vulnerability, honesty. Of his words, two hearts beating toward the same future, resonated far beyond fandoms, reminding us all that even under the harshest spotlight, the most powerful stories are written by the human heart. This moment will be remembered not only as a confession but as an act of courage that redefined authenticity in Korean entertainment. To every reader who joined us on this journey, thank you. Red carpet revealed. Your passion, curiosity, support are what make it possible for us to tell these stories with depth and heart. You stayed with us through the shock, the frenzy, the reflection, and in doing so, you became part of the story itself. Entertainment is more than glitz and headlines. It is about connection, about the emotions we share as fans, about finding pieces of ourselves in the journeys of others. Grateful for your time and trust. Stay close, because in the ever-changing world of stars, next revelation is never far away, and together, we'll be here to uncover it.